Once upon a time, there was a baby who lived in a large forest filled with tall pine trees. It was a winter night, and two woodcutters were making their way back home through the forest. The weather was extremely cold, and the ground was covered in snow. Everyone in the forest was feeling the chill. The trees, the birds, and even the animals were shivering in the cold. The rabbits stayed inside their cozy rabbit holes, and the squirrels found shelter in the trees. However, the two woodcutters kept on walking, determined to reach their village. As they continued their journey, they prayed to Saint Martin, who was known as the protector of travelers. Finally, after a while, they spotted the lights of their small village shining in the distance. They felt a wave of happiness and laughed with joy. In that moment, the earth appeared like a silver flower, and the moon looked like a golden flower. However, their happiness didn't last long, and they soon became sad again. One of the woodcutters questioned why they were so happy. He wondered aloud why their lives couldn't be as abundant as those who are wealthy. He felt that their lives were meant for the rich, not for people like them who were poor. The woodcutters began to despair, thinking that it would be better for them to die in the snow or be eaten by a wild animal. However, something unexpected happened. A bright and beautiful star suddenly fell from the sky, landing in the snow. One of the woodcutters pointed it out to his friend, suggesting that they might find a pot of gold. Curiosity piqued, they decided to go and investigate. Upon reaching the spot, they discovered something made of gold lying on the white snow. However, it wasn't the treasure they had hoped for. It was a golden cloak adorned with shining stars. As they opened the cloak, they were surprised to find a little baby peacefully sleeping inside. Around the baby's neck was a chain made of amber. One of the woodcutters expressed concern, saying that this situation wasn't good. He suggested leaving the baby there, explaining that they already had too many children and not enough money to buy food. Although he didn't want another child, he couldn't bear to abandon the little baby in the cold forest. The other woodcutter disagreed, saying that the baby would surely die if left alone. He made the compassionate decision to take the baby home with him. Despite having many children and limited food, he believed that his wife would care for the baby. He gently held the baby in his arms and continued their journey back home. Upon arriving in their village, the first woodcutter claimed that since his friend had the baby, he should give him the cloak of gold. However, his friend disagreed, stating that the cloak belonged to the baby and should remain with him. The woodcutter's wife was overjoyed to see her husband return. She embraced him and kissed him, grateful for his safe return. He shared that he had found something in the forest and brought it home for her. Although they were very poor and in need of many things, she became angry when she saw the baby. She expressed that they already had too many children and not enough money to buy food, and she didn't want another child. However, as she looked at the baby, her heart was filled with compassion. Her husband told her that the baby was a star child and they must love and care for him. The woman placed the baby in a small bed to sleep and stored the cloak and chain in a chest. She declared that they would love him. Part 2. The mother of the star child now lived with the woodcutter and his family, but he was very different from them. Every year, as the seasons passed, the star child remained unchanged. While the other children grew and aged, the star child retained a celestial beauty and a mysterious aura. His skin was pale and luminous, and his eyes sparkled like the night sky. The mother of the household was fascinated by the star child's uniqueness. She treated him with love and tenderness, even though she couldn't fully understand him. The other children, on the other hand, felt a mix of curiosity and jealousy towards their extraordinary sibling. The star child possessed special abilities. He had an enchanting voice and a natural talent for music. When he sang, the birds would gather to listen, and the trees would sway to the rhythm of his melodies. His presence brought a sense of wonder and magic to their humble home. Despite the challenges they faced, the woodcutter's family cherished the star child. They nurtured his talents and provided him with a loving environment. The mother, in particular, was captivated by his ethereal beauty and regarded him as a precious gift from the heavens. She embraced her role as his protector and advocate, ensuring that he was accepted and loved within their community. As time went by, the star child's destiny began to unfold, revealing a path that would take him on extraordinary adventures and teach valuable lessons about love, acceptance, and the true meaning of family. The star child's beauty continued to enhance with time. His skin had a pristine white shade, resembling ivory. His hair gleamed like the golden petals of daffodils. His lips bore a hue similar to the delicate petals of a red flower, and his eyes shimmered in a captivating shade of blue, reminiscent of violets near a river. The people in the village, who mostly had black hair and black eyes, gazed upon the star child with awe. He was undeniably beautiful, but unfortunately, he possessed a cruel, arrogant, and selfish nature. He would mock the other children in the village, belittling them due to their parents' lack of wealth, while claiming his own nobility, boasting about coming from a star. He held no compassion for those who were poor, and he would laugh at those who were considered ugly or sick. He even found pleasure in causing harm to animals, finding amusement in their suffering. His vanity knew no bounds, and he took great delight in admiring his own beauty, often visiting the priest's orchard to gaze at his reflection in the well, finding happiness in his own appearance. The woodcutter and his wife did their best to care for the boy, despite his troubling behavior. However, they were deeply saddened by his actions. They would often question him, expressing their disappointment and asking why he acted with such cruelty. The priest, concerned about the star child's demeanor, approached him, emphasizing the importance of respecting all of God's creatures. The priest continued to counsel the star child, reminding him that even a fly is a brother and urging him to cease causing pain to others. However, the star child remained unyielding, persisting in his actions of hurting animals and mocking people's troubles. His influence over the other children grew as they were captivated by his beauty, dance, and musical talents. They followed his lead, becoming cruel and callous like him. One day, a destitute beggar woman arrived in the village. Her clothes were worn and tattered, and she had no shoes to protect her feet. Exhausted, she sought respite under a tree. The star child noticed her presence and disdainfully remarked to his friends, calling her ugly and expressing their desire for her to leave. Encouraged by his words, they began pelting stones at the unfortunate woman, instilling fear within her. Witnessing this scene, the woodcutter, deeply troubled, intervened and demanded that they immediately cease their actions. He questioned the star child, asking why he lacked compassion for the poor woman. In response, the star child defiantly declared that the woodcutter was not his father, refusing to heed his words. The poor beggar woman, despite her terror, kept her gaze fixed upon the star child. The woodcutter reminded the star child that he had shown pity when he found him in the forest. These words resonated with the woman, causing her to scream and collapse, losing consciousness. The woodcutter swiftly carried her to his house, where his wife provided food and drink for her. However, the woman refused to partake. Instead, she inquired about the star child, asking if he came from the forest and possessed a golden cloak adorned with stars. She specified that this event occurred approximately 10 years ago. The woodcutter, taken aback, confirmed her descriptions, acknowledging the cloak and the amber chain around the child's neck. The woman, overcome with emotion, examined the cloak and the chain and began to cry tears of joy. She exclaimed, "Oh, he is my little son. I am his mother." She revealed that she had lost him in the forest 10 years ago and had searched the world over for him. Finally, she had found him again. The woodcutter was astonished by this revelation and called the boy inside the house, telling him that his mother was present. The child, filled with happiness, eagerly entered the house. However, upon seeing the woman, he expressed disbelief and declared that she couldn't be his mother. He dismissed her as a horrible beggar woman, refusing to acknowledge their bond. The mother insisted that she was indeed his mother, recognizing him and his golden cloak with the amber chain. The boy, enraged, rejected her claim. He scorned her for her worn-out clothes, deeming her unworthy of his love. He closed his heart to her, denying their connection. The heartbroken woman wept and questioned where she should go. Despite her anguish, the star child remained resolute, refusing to accept her as his mother. He cruelly compared her to toads and snakes, deeming them more desirable than her. With tears streaming down her face, the woman left the house, her heart heavy with sorrow. The star child reveled in his happiness as she departed, oblivious to the pain he had caused her. He went off to play with his friends, but when they saw him, they ridiculed and rejected him. They taunted him, stating that they didn't want to play with him anymore because he was ugly. Confused and hurt by their words, the star child went to the well to see his reflection. To his shock, he now had a face resembling a toad and skin resembling a snake. Realization struck him, and he began to cry. He understood the consequences of his cruelty and the suffering he had inflicted upon his mother. Feeling remorseful, he realized he must find his mother and apologize. The woodcutter's young daughter approached him, offering guidance and encouragement. It's not. This is my punishment," he replied when the woodcutter's daughter offered her support. "I treated my mother very badly, and now I must find her." Filled with remorse, he rushed into the forest, calling out to his mother, pleading for her to come back and expressing his sincere apologies. However, there was no response to his cries, and as night fell, he slept on a makeshift bed of leaves. But when the animals saw him, they fled in fear. They recognized him as the cruel boy who had caused them harm. Desperate to find his mother, he approached a mole and asked if his mother was underground. The mole, having been hurt by his actions, replied, "I don't know if your mother is there. I cannot see because you hurt my eyes." He turned to a little bird and inquired about his mother's whereabouts. The bird, whose wings had been injured by him, responded, "I cannot fly because you hurt my wings." When he approached a squirrel, asking about his mother, the squirrel, whose mother he had killed, retorted, "I don't know. You killed my mother. Do you want to kill your mother too?" Hearing these painful truths, the star child wept and prayed to God for forgiveness. He embarked on a journey to various villages in search of his mother. However, in each village, the children mocked him and threw stones at him. Despite facing such cruelty, the star child pressed on. In the fourth part of the story, after 3 years of wandering the world, the star child reached the gates of a city situated near a river, surrounded by towering walls. The soldiers stationed there stopped him and questioned his purpose. He explained that he was looking for his mother and requested permission to enter the city, hoping that she might be there. Curious, one soldier inquired about his mother's identity and the reason behind his search. The star child replied, "She is a poor beggar like me, and I was very cruel to her. Now I seek her forgiveness." However, the soldiers simply laughed at him, cruelly remarking on his ugliness. "No mother loves an ugly child. She will not be happy to see you. Come with us. We will sell you as a slave," the soldiers heartlessly declared. They proceeded to sell the star child to an old man for the price of a cup of sweet wine. This old man happened to be a magician from Libya. Taking the boy to a dark prison, the magician provided him with a meager meal of stale bread and dirty water. The following day, the magician presented the star child with a task. He was commanded to venture into the forest, where 3 pieces of gold awaited him: white gold, yellow gold, and red gold. As a slave, the boy was warned that failure to bring back the piece of white gold would result in a severe beating of 100 lashes. Filled with trepidation, the star child entered the forest in search of the elusive white gold. However, all he encountered were thorns and dangerous plants, and the desired gold remained out of reach. As the sun began to set, despair overcame him, and he started to weep, aware of the magician's imminent punishment. Suddenly, his tears were interrupted by the sound of a distressed hare caught in a trap. Instantly forgetting his own troubles, the star child felt compassion for the hare and freed it from its entrapment. Grateful, the hare expressed its gratitude, saying, "Thank you. You are very kind. Thanks to you, I have my freedom. What can I give you?" The star child explained his predicament and the need to find the piece of white gold, fearing the consequences of failure. The hare offered assistance, revealing its knowledge of where to find the white gold. Guided by the hare, the star child reached a particular tree where the coveted white gold was hidden. Overjoyed, he expressed his gratitude to the hare and returned to the city, clutching the piece of white gold. However, at the city gate, his attention was captured by an elderly, impoverished man in desperate need. Moved by compassion, the star child felt compelled to help. "If you don't give me some money, I will die of hunger," shouted the old man desperately. The star child, moved by compassion, realized that the old man's need was greater than his own. Despite possessing only the piece of white gold meant for the magician, the star child made a decision. "The old man needs this more than me," he thought, and he handed over the gold to the pleading man. Upon witnessing the star child's act of selflessness, the magician grew furious, angered by the boy's failure to bring back the white gold. In his rage, the magician beat the star child and cast him into a prison cell, devoid of food and water. The following day, the magician presented a new task to the star child. "Today, you must return to the forest and find the piece of yellow gold. Failure to do so will result in a beating of 300 lashes." Filled with fear, the boy ventured into the forest, searching tirelessly for the elusive yellow gold. Despite his efforts, he remained unsuccessful in his quest. Exhausted and disheartened, the star child sought solace beneath a tree, tears streaming down his face. It was then that a hare approached him, inquiring about his distress. The star child explained his predicament, and the hare offered to help. "Follow me. I will show you the yellow gold," the hare said. Led by the hare, the star child arrived at a pool of water, where he discovered the piece of yellow gold at the bottom. Filled with a renewed sense of hope, he returned to the city with the precious gold in hand. However, as he reached the city gate, he encountered the old man once again, pleading for money to ward off hunger. The star child, unable to ignore the old man's desperation, decided to give him the yellow gold. Little did he know that his act of kindness would enrage the magician even further. The magician, consumed by anger, unleashed his fury upon the star child once again. He beat him relentlessly, bound him with chains, and cast him back into his prison cell. The following day, the magician issued a new and final task for the star child. "Today, you must venture into the forest and find the pieces of red gold. If you succeed, you will earn your freedom. If you fail, I will end your life." Determined yet filled with trepidation, the star child entered the forest, tirelessly searching for the red gold. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't locate it throughout the day. As evening approached, he found himself under a tree, overcome by tears of despair. Once again, the compassionate hare heard his cries and approached him. "Why are you crying?" the hare asked. The star child poured out his troubles, sharing his plight with the hare. Moved by the boy's predicament, the hare decided to assist him once more. Guided by the hare, the star child discovered the red gold in a cave near the tree. Filled with gratitude, he expressed his heartfelt thanks and hurried back to the city. Upon reaching the city gate, the star child encountered the old man once more, begging for money to stave off starvation. Despite his own dire circumstances, the star child's compassion overruled his personal needs. He gave the old man the red gold, recognizing that the man needed it more than he did. However, although the people of the city hailed the star child's beauty as he walked through the streets, his heart remained heavy with sadness. He knew that his imminent encounter with the magician could lead to his demise. The star child finally arrived in a grand square where the majestic palace of the king stood. The people, mistaking him for the long-awaited king's son, proclaimed him their lord and hailed his beauty. However, the star child rejected their praises, revealing his true identity as the son of a poor beggar woman. He insisted that he was not worthy of being their king and that he needed to find his mother. Amidst the crowd, he caught sight of his mother, the very same beggar woman he had treated cruelly in the past. Beside her stood the old man he had encountered at the city gate. Overwhelmed with emotion, the star child rushed to his mother, knelt before her, and humbly kissed her feet, seeking forgiveness. "Mother," he said, "I am sorry for my past actions. I have learned the value of compassion and love. I cannot accept the crown and scepter as I must find you and be with you." His mother, recognizing her long-lost son despite his transformation, embraced him with tears of joy. "My dear child, you have found your way back to me. I have longed for this day," she said. The people witnessed this poignant reunion and realized the true character of the Star Child. They saw the transformation within him and were deeply moved by his humility and remorse. The old man, too, felt remorse for his past actions and witnessed the redemption of the once cruel boy. The prophecy was fulfilled in a different way. Instead of a king, the people were graced with a king's heart. The Star Child's compassion, humility, and love had won the hearts of the people, and he became a beloved figure in the city, not as a ruler, but as a symbol of kindness and redemption. From that day on, the Star Child dedicated his life to helping others, spreading love and kindness throughout the kingdom. He found a family in the people who once hailed him as their king. And in his mother's warm embrace, he discovered the true riches of life, the love and forgiveness that can heal even the most wounded soul. And so, the Star Child's journey of redemption came to a beautiful and heartwarming end, reminding us all of the transformative power of love and the capacity for change within every soul. The woman and the old man remained silent as the Star Child pleaded for their forgiveness. Overwhelmed with emotions, the Star Child began to cry. It was then that the woman gently placed her hand on the boy's head, and the old man followed suit. As the Star Child stood up, he looked at the woman and saw that she was not just a beggar woman but a queen. Similarly, the old man revealed himself to be a king. The queen spoke, informing the Star Child that the old man was his father, who had helped him 3 times. The king confirmed that the queen was indeed his mother, and the Star Child embraced them both, showering them with love and gratitude. They took the Star Child to the palace, adorning him with a crown upon his head and placing a scepter in his hand. As the Star Child assumed the role of king, he ruled with great virtue, showing justice and mercy to all. He extended his generosity to the woodcutter and his family, showering them with gifts. He dedicated himself to helping the poor, showing kindness to animals and birds, and ensuring peace prevailed throughout the land. However, after 3 years of noble reign, the Star Child's suffering caught up with him, and he passed away. The kingdom mourned the loss of their beloved king. With his departure, a cruel king ascended the throne, and the kingdom experienced a period of hardship and darkness.